Hi everyone, welcome to the Tuesday show. Today the show is with me, it's solo, and I thought I'll share some of my thinking that has happened in the last few days. And continuing on the conversation from last week, I was talking about finding the mentor within you, finding the strength within you. That's what we were talking about last time. So, this is all part of a series where we're talking about what are the different aspects of leadership that we need to find within ourselves. What are the different aspects of leadership that we need to learn? As we move from a very industrial economy to a creative economy, it's the world is changing out there. And in what way is the world changing? And in what way do we need to embrace different parts of ourselves, be at home or be at work? So that's sort of what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I have to tell you about, and I have to start with a very interesting dream I've had 2 days, day before night. It was, I was in Palo Alto, I was with my friends, and we were hosting something, I can't remember, and we were waiting for people to get in, and it was like a really beautiful event that we were hosting. And I just went out and I saw Irfan Khan there. And I just ran up to him and said, Irfan, it's so nice to see you. Because he was at our conference a few years ago, and actually we posted some. Anand Gandhi was an amazing, amazing film director. Videotaped Irfan Khan in conversation with my friend Asha Jadeja. So he posted something there. So I was telling him that, Irfan, did you see the video that we posted? And what are you doing here in Palo Alto? Because we were in US. And he said, oh, I've come here to take some time off from everything and to be here by myself. And he showed me the house he was staying in, and he said, I didn't tell anybody I was here, but this dinner sounds really good, so I can come. And we were talking about, he said, I'm going off to New York from here, and I want to take an art class. I really want to find this artistic side of me. And I was telling him about Dhun, that my friend Manvendra is building, and I said, oh, you should go stay in that house there, and you'll find all the art you want that will come on from within you. I mean, it's just a dream. But what I was thinking is that, why did this dream come at this point? And what is this all about? And what sort of a person was Irfan Khan, and feels very strange to say was. But, it's sort of, even in the dream, he was not a star. He was somebody you would run up to and hug and say, hey, what are you doing here, buddy? That sort of a person. And I've been in the creative field a lot. I worked with a lot of, talent, be it directors or actors or musicians, and a lot of people. And most of them are aware of being stars. They're not someone who would come without an entourage and just hang out and talk to people. And there is a distance, there is a status quo they need to maintain, there is a position they need to maintain. And I felt with Irfan, it was always about, it was very simple, and there was no what do you call, a facade. He was completely what he was. So I think the most beautiful aspect of someone so successful that makes them so endearing to so many people is the fact that he's a very vulnerable person. Very, he is what he is. It's not about living up to any image. If he doesn't know something, he asks, well, how does it feel? So the conversation between him and my friend Asha was about death. And he was asking her, how did it feel for you to lose your husband? How do you deal with that death? it's one of the most strange, I mean, now when I think about it, conversations, but it's that vulnerability, it's that ability to ask things that you're curious about. You don't need to be someone who knows everything. So I think one of the most important characters of a leader um, is that vulnerability, is for the people around you to know that even you don't know some things, or uh, you are as curious as anybody else, you are as friendly as anybody else, or you're as moody as anybody else. It's the good, bad, and the ugly. It's not about being that perfect person at all times. So it was a very, very beautiful dream of um, seeing the space where he was staying. And in my head, I was already making plans of, oh my God, I had no idea Irfan was here. I need to call these 5 people so we can have dinner with him tonight. So he will really enjoy meeting this person. And I woke up with that thing of having to plan something. And that is how endearing he is, that even today, the way you think about him as another human being and as a friend, and not as a star or as somebody who's super talented that he was, but it's about the least common denominator of being that human being. So I thought I'll spend a little bit today about this vulnerability. It's about some of the things I learned in my professional life from people being vulnerable to me, and also me learning how to be that. So the first thing is, when I got my first job, I shared about some of this in the past, but the lesson is different. I worked at a tech company, and I loved the company. This is my first job after college, and I put my heart and soul into it. And I'm in a new country, and I'm just making money, and don't have much savings, and just building my nest egg, because I'm finally employed, paid off the lawyers for the green card and all that stuff. So 9 months into the job, I just came to work one day, and my boss said, "Oh, Lakshmi, I need to talk to you." So we would have our regular one-on-ones. So I went to the conference room, and she said, "I really don't know how to tell you this, but we need to let you go." So I just still didn't fathom in my head what she was talking about, because that morning we had a meeting and everything was just fine. So I said, "Oh, let me go where? I mean, do you need me to go get something? And I'll be happy to do. Don't worry about it." She's like, "No, no, no. We have to let you go. I have to give you the pink slip." And I just started working in America. I didn't even know what the word pink slip meant. I said, "I still don't understand. What is giving a pink slip mean?" She says, "Lakshmi, you no longer have a job in this company." And that really hit me, because this was not just my desk, it was my home. The entire wall was filled with everything from my childhood to my mountaineering to all kinds of pictures. And there was my food there, my books there, and the whole space was my home away from home. And I spent hours and hours. Literally, I would go to work at 7 in the morning and go home at 10 or 11 or whatever, after checking, making sure everybody had dinner. And we had this head of engineering who worked so much that he never ate. So we all took turns to make sure we left yogurt on his desk, so he would at least have a yogurt at night. And when I went to India, I left a box of yogurts in the fridge with a note to him saying, "Please eat one every day." And so we'd all take turns. So we're all like a family. And so to be told that you no longer have a place here was just hit me. And to add insult to injury, my dad just landed 2 days before that, because I wrote him saying, "I finally have a job, I have all these things, I have my own car, and come visit me." So my dad landed up 2 days before that. So I just didn't know what to do. And that's the day I gave my car for repair. So I didn't have my car. So me and two other friends who actually I think took a ride with me that day or something, but I still remember Roberta, Matt, and I. We were the youngest, last hire, so last in, first out, LIFO principle of accounting. We were the first ones out, and we were just sitting. Three of us were sitting on the sidewalk, just humiliated, and I just didn't even know how to behave because I had to go to my desk, and literally they walk you out. You cannot come back to the office, so you have to go pack your stuff and leave. So I just and you feel everybody watching you, and we were 140 people, and it became overnight 60 people. So there was 80 of us who were let go, but everybody drove off in their cars, and the three of us, we didn't have our cars. So I had to call a friend of mine and wait for him to come with all this stuff, and just in like a daze. So anyway, my friend came to our rescue, and he took us home to his place, and we were sitting there, and all three of us were trying to figure out what to do next. And I didn't know how to tell my father I lost my job. And here I am, like this, super successful daughter, and I was going to show off to him that come to America, stay with me, I'll take you around, we'll drive around and all this stuff. And I don't have a job, I don't have money, I don't have a paycheck. So I just didn't want to tell him. So I went to my friend's place, and I just cried and cried and cried. And my friends just sat with me, and they were like, whatever you need, let us help you. But anyway, I went home, and I didn't say anything to my dad because I was afraid that my father, who just visiting from India, would freak out if he found out I don't have a job. So next morning I got ready, and I sat in the car, and I went as though I was going to work. I didn't tell him anything. So I met two of my friends, Roberta and Matt, and we went to the unemployment office, where we stood in the line and we filled our forms, and they ask you all these tough questions like, when do you think you'll get a job? And, just not very respectful environment to be in, And then you have to, apply for jobs. And every week when you go to collect your unemployment, you have to show them how many jobs you have applied, which jobs you have applied, and all that kind of stuff. But they're giving you all these things. And I just didn't know what to do. So 2 days, 3 days, I still would go out as though I had a job. And finally, after about 3 days, I just couldn't hold it back because I'm not used to lying to my father. And he's a very friendly person. And at the cost of upsetting him, I finally told him that, I don't have a job, and, this is what has happened. And, to my surprise, if I really knew my dad, it's not a surprise, but, at that time, to my surprise, he just didn't bat an eyelid. He said, it's okay. It has happened. Let's think of what we need to do now. What help do you need? Do you have any money in the bank? Do we need to get some money for you? And I was like, no, I have some money. And the next day, my dad started writing letters. This, you got to remember, this is pre-cell phones, and where long-distance phones, even within America, were still quite expensive. And he started writing to all his friends in America, saying, I'm here, and I'm doing something, blah, blah, blah. I need you to send some money. And so I saw these letters, and I just told him, look, you don't need to do all this. I have this unemployment thing. I'm looking for jobs. We will get through this. But what surprised me is that you try to be strong, you try to be stoic, you try to hold it all together. But when you let go and tell the other person, they may surprise you with their strength. And really, for me, to have my father say it's okay not to worry about it, while I'm sure he was freaking out inside. And I knew later on how he called my cousin in Florida, Bobby and talked to him and said, I don't know what to do. He talked to his friends. But to me, he was nothing but a tower of strength. Don't worry about anything. We will figure it out. And true to his word, he never freaked out the entire time. He stayed with me for 6 months, and I found a job literally the day before he was leaving. It took me 6 months. It was really, really difficult for me to, accept in front of him that I was a failure, that I failed, that I lost my job. Later on, I got a job with Intel. I joined Intel, which ended up being one of the best things that has ever happened in my life. If I didn't get fired that day, if I didn't lose my job that day, I would have never gone to Intel. And I would have missed my opportunity to meet the stalwarts that I have met. So I joined Intel in 1988, amazing time. In 1990, 91. We started Intel Inside campaign. I got to have a ringside view of that to see how it has developed, even though it was not my thing. Dennis Carter and his team were really amazing. Ann Lunar, Sally Frandakowski. They were just like amazing stalwarts. Later on, Ellen Konar, they did an amazing job with Intel Inside. But I got to be part of it, part of observing it. And then when we had the Pentium processor, it was like a big deal. My friend Karen Alter was responsible for coming up with the name Pentium processor. She was in charge of the process by which the name came out. And we were riding high on Pentium processor because I traveled all over to Germany, here, there, talking about it. And this is when Intel was going to leapfrog to another type of success, where we are moving away from numbers to a product name and have our own market. Huge, positive time for us, where we had, a flaw. So basically, if you use the Pentium processor computer in certain computations at certain time, sorry, we are having a little bit of a reconnecting. So after riding really high on the Pentium processor, and what happened was because of this flaw, it started as something really small. Some professor complaining somewhere, some bulletin board, some noise, something, etc. And, Andy Grove kept saying, this is such a, small mistake that we are not going to say we'll take the computers back or anything of that sort. We're just not going to do it. And it just blew into something really, really huge. And it was that Christmas holidays. Everybody canceled their holidays, and we were, at work, doing all kinds of things, learning what the consumers are feeling, traveling. I went to New York, somebody went somewhere else, collecting consumer data, what's happening. The bottom line is we realized that this is a really bad situation we are in, while the problem was not huge. Truly, technically it's not huge. It's just that the emotions were running so high that we had to do something about it. So we took a full-page ad in Wall Street Journal, everything, where the management came out and said, we are sorry for what we have done. We are, no questions asked. If you have a problem, just return the computer, we'll take it back. And we had a town hall with the management, and Andy Grove came onto the town hall. And he was conducting town halls till then. Initially, you'd be like, I can't believe, I hate walking out of my driveway and picking up the newspaper because I don't know what news will come out next. Why are these people making such a big deal out of such a small thing, etc. So, we've had a couple of town halls like that. And in this town hall, he came and said that, I really underestimated what a brand we have become, and that there is an emotional outburst there, and I didn't understand that. So for that, I am sorry. And I was wrong, or something to that effect. And it is very rare to see Andy say something like that, I'm sorry or I was wrong. But I really felt, wow, can you imagine the CEO of at that point, maybe $30 billion company, to come out and say to his entire team, to everyone, that I'm sorry, I didn't see this coming, was a very, very big thing for me. I mean, the ability for him to say those words really touched me. And I think my loyalty to Intel, my loyalty to him, and was a lot because of those incidents, not the times when he was the best, he was the man of the year, or the best CEO. Of course, we expect that. What else would you expect out of Andy? But it's this unexpected thing of him saying, I'm sorry, seeing that, that other side of him is what made him really a great leader for me. So those are a couple of incidents. And the final thing is about the situation we are in today. This is the first time that the entire world is united in the problem that they're facing, for which no one knows the solution. And no one knows where to look. Someone from Living Forest is saying, hope we get to see that in today's leadership. And absolutely, I really hope we can, because it's the situation we are in right now. We cannot say that, hey, this is going to be over, once the weather changes, this will go away. Or once you go to a different country, it goes away. You live on top of a mountain, you won't get it. No one knows how to avoid it. And this is the time, I think, we all need to be utterly honest. While the leadership style we have developed over the years has been a very patriarchal, very stoic, whether I know it all, don't worry about it, I will take care of you, very protective kind of a leadership. The leadership we have to imbibe today is a very matriarchal leadership, in terms of you have to say, I don't know. Let us figure this out together. I'm sorry. And, we all have to go to our teams and say, look, we all have to take lesser salaries. We all have to weather the storm. We all have to figure out how to be innovative about it. Maybe you need to be on a special scheme, and maybe you need to do this, or should I find a job for you somewhere else? And I mean, we have to have such tough conversations that we never thought were possible or needed. And for me, when when this happened, I felt, I am so tired. Just when you think, every time, just when you think that, we are finally over this, we are actually can see some results. We had a fantastic conference in Suryagarh last year. We started a program called Future Makers that people were signing up, and they were all there at the conference. They loved it, and they were like, what can we do more of? And so we're like, okay, how can we go from 30 to 300 Future Makers? How do we grow this program? How do we do this? How do we do that? We are in this mood, and this happens, And now, we don't even know when we are going to host the next event or the next conference. We have to reinvent ourselves. We have to tell everybody, what to do, what not to do, how can we go about it. And to be that utterly helpless, you cannot guarantee anything. You cannot guarantee, success, nor can you guarantee failure. I mean, to be in this state is the most tough situation we have. And thanks, Smita says I'm an example of a matriarchal leader. And I keep saying this, that I think for the last 200 years in the industrial economy, we have learned one form of leadership, which is important. We need to be strong, we need to be stoic, we need to take care of everybody, we need to embrace, we need to, be the protector and all those things. But we also have to envelop ourselves with or embrace ourselves or this other type of leadership, which we haven't practiced at all, which is a very matriarchal type of leadership of saying, I don't know, I'm here with you, I'm a coach, I'm not a teacher, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but let's do this together, let's build this together. And Samraj is saying lessons learned from vulnerability, are obviously from domestic as well as workplaces, absolutely. And how can we take our life experiences and turn them into lessons for us? And I had to learn how to work at home, work from home. And I was the first one in my company to say, never work at home. I wanted everybody to be at work. And I had to eat my words and say, hey, actually working at home is really good. And to be able to learn things and to be able to, take your words back, eat your words and say, I didn't know, I'm sorry. So these are all very, very important things of a leader. So just to summarize, there are three things I want you to remember. First is when you have the courage to be vulnerable, and it takes a lot. And even now, every time I have to have a tough conversation, every time I have to say something unpleasant, it's very tough for me. I have to talk to myself for hours before I can say it. But the point is, always, 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 when you're vulnerable and when you say it like it is, most often the other person surprises you by how much they're willing to go with you, And if they didn't, that's okay, because that's what would have happened anyway. But 90 out of 100 times, when you're vulnerable with honesty, you always have the people surprise you and they stay with you. The second thing is, as in, the Intel case, the greatest asset of a leader is to be able to say, I'm sorry, or I don't know. These are the three most powerful words in being a leader, to say, I don't know. Maybe somebody half your age knows how to do this much better than you, and can you go to them and say, I don't know, help me with it. So it's the most powerful words. I mean, what Andy said, I'm sorry, or I didn't know, something to that effect, were the most powerful words for me. And the third thing, finally, as I said, with what we are going through right now, just remember that no one knows. It's not just that you don't know and you are having this terrible situation. Everyone is in the same boat. So the bottom line is, what will give you the strength to be vulnerable is to know that everyone has the same situation at some time or the other. And Jasmine is saying that, but we often get penalized for stating this. It's true, sometimes we get penalized, but more often than not, we will get rewarded. And for the times you're penalized, you have to shake off that memory and be that honest again the next time. Because otherwise, we can never ever be successful. Because if we cannot be vulnerable, if we cannot utter the words, I don't know, if we cannot say, I'm sorry, we'll never learn. And we'll miss amazing opportunities of meeting with people. So to me, when I go to people and say, I don't know, I need help, I have the most amazing people who are helping me. I still don't know how we are going to come out of this. And when we will come out of this, if we will come out of this, all the work we have done for the last 10 years at Inc., will it stay or not? I really don't know. I wish I could. But the point is, in saying I don't know, I'm using three most powerful words in English language that tells others that you are being truthful to yourself. And in that truth, we find our true friends for life. So thank you so much for sharing this evening. Bye-bye.